This is David Allen. I'm talking with my daughter, Dr. Marie Allen Carroll. We're talking about how easy it is for us to get into this addiction of pleasing people and not doing what we're called to do in life. We please our parents, we please our friends, we please our teachers, we please our neighbors, but somehow we never get to do what we're called to do. The challenge of tonight's program is for you to come home to your heart and realize you're a special treasure. You're made in the image of Almighty God. You have an authority God. You have meaning, dignity, identity, and value. You can decide to choose what you want to do. But Marie, that's so difficult for so many people.
It's absolutely very difficult, and that's why I always say I don't judge, and it has to happen in your own time and when you're ready for it. A lot of people are walking around, and either they're stuck in a denial because it's just too scary to think that they might have to make a decision that's going to force them to break out. And then some people are aware, but they just don't know how to take the next step. They're aware that they're living codependently. They're aware that fear is blocking their life. They're aware that they're becoming extremely angry. But they just don't know how to go forward through it. So that's also propels into addiction, right? Instead of having to face that feeling, you numb it out. You try to avoid it. You try to pretend that everything's okay. And then it just gets to the point where it feels overwhelming.
Marie, past few weeks you did a group of young a girls group in New York at the Chautauqua Institution. How did you find those young ladies? Do they have the same issues as Bahamian young girls have?
Absolutely. They definitely had a lot of the same issues, same senses of insecurities, anxiety about the world, anxiety about performing well in school, talking about pressures of social media, and the likes and the dislikes, and but also I'm really proud of our girls, because even with all these pressures, it seems like girls are getting stronger. I don't know if I've been doing girls groups for about 6 years now, and these girls, it feels like it's starting to work a little bit. They're getting stronger. They're getting more empowered. They're not just taking any old reaction to themselves. Maybe it's the parents are getting wiser. I'm not sure, but it was a very encouraging group. I think as much as there's societal pressure, there's other companies that are really doing a good job of giving girls voices, showing them that beauty on the inside is just as important, if more important than beauty on the outside, that you can do anything, that you can be empowered. So we just need to keep enforcing these feelings, because the more you develop that, the less likely you're going to be codependent later on.
For some reason, some young girls don't like themselves. It's because they feel they don't look right.
Absolutely, they don't match what society deems as the beauty ideal. Maybe they've been told at an age, either by unfortunately a parent or
remember you telling me one young girl, she didn't want to look in the mirror.
No.
She didn't want to see herself.
No.
Why?
It's so painful to look at yourself and hate what you see.
Why would she hate what she see?
Because it's the inside. You're hating your inside so much. You feel so badly about yourself that looking at the visual, looking at your eyes, inside your eyes, is so painful. Several girls I've worked with have covered up mirrors before. Eating disorder pathology a lot of times have to cover up mirrors because...
You mean they put a towel on the mirror in their room?
So they don't have to see themselves. Wow. It's extremely, extremely painful. But it's also beautiful to see and work with someone as they gradually start loving themselves again and are able to start looking at themselves. And one of the exercises we do, and it might feel so unnatural, is positive affirmations in the mirror, like, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I can do this, and I can do anything, and I am strong, and I am positive. And these things, it might sound corny or what have you, but it's amazing how that can boost a person's self-esteem, self-efficacy. Cognitively, they've found that people become more successful, they do better in the job place, they do better in school, because this affirmation, instead of just looking at the world and society to affirm them, they are really learning to develop self-affirmation. And if you can develop that, if you can get to the point where you can tell yourself, even when you're going through a hard time, it might be harder, but you can get to the point where you can say, look, I've got this. We can handle it. Me, myself, and I, we can do this. That is going to put you on a whole different platform. And if you're able to teach your kids how to do that, that is a tremendous gift.
And Marie, what does the selfie picture have to do with this whole concept?
Well, it's more of a, it can turn into self-absorption. I mean, there's some fun, like I said, there's no just right or wrong, right? I think the internet is fantastic. I love social media. It's a great way of keeping in touch, seeing what everyone's doing. But it can be taken too far as well. You know, if someone's constantly posting selfies or it can get a little
But the selfie is trying to present a picture of yourself that you like.
Right.
And hoping your friends would say, oh, that's nice.
Yes.
And if they don't, and then you get depressed.
Right, right. So they found that when you like, when a person sees how many likes they get in their selfie or what have you, it literally has the same impact on their brain as sometimes taking cocaine. So
Wait, say that again?
there's the same neurological event that happens in your brain when a teenager gets enough likes. It mirrors what happens when someone takes cocaine. It lights up that's why it can be so incredibly addicting. So it literally is a brain pathway.
Philip Ames, that's so important, that study, that when our young people are looking at the selfies and the likes they get back from the internet, the more likes they get, it's like getting a high from cocaine. So it really shows you that our young people really need to be affirmed. They need to be loved. We need to bless them. We need to encourage them, and because it's hard for them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. They want to have the right look, the right size, the right shape, the right shoes, and if they don't fit in,
they feel terrible. And it's not just young people. All ages.
All ages.
I've said before, desperate housewife syndrome that they found at Renew, I think it was one of the major eating disorder institutes in the U.S. A couple years ago, their highest intake population were women age 35 to 50, which used to be unheard of. It used to be, for eating disorders, addiction, if you got through to 21 and didn't develop a drug addiction, eating disorder, it was considered okay. Now, the eating disorders for women older is increased. Addiction has increased for people that are older as well. So it's kind of what is going on where middle age is becoming so much, it just seems like it's becoming more difficult, or people are not able to tolerate and turn to things that before they would not have turned to.
Well, you know, it's interesting because in my work, my studies have been mostly in shame. The idea is that we have an expected level of what we should be, then we have an actual level. And that gap could be the codependency gap or the shame gap. And so as you get older, you realize you can't fill that gap. Yeah. So you get 50, and yet your expected level is still higher than your actual level. And you get 55, and the gap is still there. And sometime at 60, the gap gets wider. So you start actually hating your life.
Yes. Yes.
Seeing that you really
Yes.
were not accepted.
Yes.
And as a result of that, you start to almost withdraw, pull away from friends, and it's a really strange phenomenon. Yeah. But again, it's because you want to please something in you. Why not accept yourself as you are? Mm-hmm. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are a sacred treasure. We
talk about, you've heard before the 80-20 rule where, again, it happens a lot in middle age, where you've got 80% of what you want, but that last 20% you don't have. And so you try to get that, but unfortunately a lot of times lose the 80%. It can happen with affairs, it can happen with...
Wait, now, the 80%?
You have 80%, but because we're not grateful, or that's not enough, we want that 20%. And so we start craving, like human beings want the one thing that they can't have, right? You have everything else, but there's always something else you want. It's like there could be 10 people in a room, 9 people think you're fantastic, one person doesn't think you're so great, and you're focused on that one person instead of being grateful for the 9 people that love you. So 80-20 rule is you've got this maybe an amazing spouse, fantastic, but there's something about them that you don't like or you're not pleased with, and so someone else comes by and you think, oh wow, that person would do it. And then all of a sudden you realize you've just given up that beautiful 80% for 20%.
It's so sad because it's amazing how we do ourselves in. Remember some years ago, another country, I worked with a very famous lady. In fact, she was an heiress. And anytime she went to a party, everybody would stop and look at her and say, wow. This Saturday night, she came to the party and nobody noticed. Wow. They just kept going on having the party. She became so depressed, she found the medicine chest and she started taking all the medicine. And when I was asked to see her, I said, Madam, you're a very lovely, attractive woman. She said, but I want to be the belle of the ball. And when I came in Saturday night, nobody noticed me. I said, well, a lot of us live like that, you know? Yeah. But she was saying, if I can't be the it,
yep. She doesn't want.
She's getting older. You can't be the it, and therefore she can't live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another form of codependency, we want to have the right look, the right type of friends, the right type of parties, the right type of groups. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, no matter what you do, some people don't like you. Yep. In fact, right now, some people don't like me, some people don't like you, and some people are talking about me, some people are talking about you. But that's okay. That's okay. Okay. Let them talk. Let them not like. Your job is to be the best you can be for yourself. Break your codependency cycle. Love them in Jesus' name, and that's it. And then goodbye. But you cannot please everybody. And anybody who tries to please everybody is a big nobody. Mm-hmm. But it's so hard, Marie.
So hard. And in trying to please everybody, you end up not pleasing anyone. That's what I find. Like, you've said yes to so many people that you can't meet any of the commitments. You don't want to tell one person that you can't go to this event, so you just say yes, and you hope you can figure it out. And next thing you know, you haven't been able to do any of it. So again, it's that it becomes this vicious cycle of self-resentment and anger at yourself for saying yes to begin with, but then being so worried to say no because you feel like you're not going to be liked, but now you're not being liked anyway because you're not doing what you're supposed to do properly, and it just, it can be such a relief when you're able to realize that. It can be such a relief when you can break through.
What amazed me about your New York group recently, these girls have everything they want.
Everything.
But yet, they have the same issues that Bahamian girls are facing. How do you explain that?
Human nature, human spirit. We are,
They go to the right schools, their parents are all rich and famous, but yet they have the same issues.
Same issues, yeah. Social comparison theory, where we compare each other, we compare ourselves to each other, which is normal. It's the way we're biologically made, but just being aware of it is so important. They watch the same YouTube videos with the photoshopping and photo editing and looking at someone and saying, why don't I look like that, but not realizing they're comparing themselves to an illusion. That person does not exist. They've been photoshopped so much. So again, it's just giving girls a voice. We talk about that, the Fight Like a Girl campaign, which I love. Before, run like a girl or fight like a girl was considered very insulting. You know, I've heard a coach say, you're running like a girl, as an insult. And so now we're trying to say, no, running like a girl can be great. Run like yourself. That's fantastic. Fight like a girl.
You're a girl, run like a girl.
Exactly.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be something to put you. So it's giving girls awareness that being a girl is pretty cool.
What we're talking about is just coming to accept who you are. Have you accepted who you are? Yeah, I know you're successful. I know you've achieved a lot. But have you come to really accept yourself, who you are? Because you know something? You can't be anybody else. Everybody else is taken. So why not accept who you are? We're going to take a break and be right back.